Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Greg Tech New Horizons. Last time we worked on some tools, we got ourselves this obsidian pickaxe, this emerald hammer, and most importantly, a saw. So we're finally ready to start building. We cleared out the last of the granite and we're gonna throw down a house right here. Now, in terms of building, we have a somewhat limited block palette. Our main things is we have wood of a couple different types. We have cobblestone and all of the cobblestone products that we can make. And that's mostly it. So in terms of woods, let's see, do we have anything else in here? Yeah. So in terms of woods, we have really 6 different kinds of wood available. We got the standard oak. We also have spruce. That's number 2. Number 3 is this purple stuff, which is right here, jacaranda. Looks a little like this. And we also have the 4th main one I think we'll be using is dark oak. So dark oak comes from this little like forested bit here. Not a lot, but it is enough to work with, especially since it continues across the river. And then the last 2 types of wood are jungle, which is very scarce. That's only this tree. And this deadwood stuff, which while we can find, I don't think looks as nice. It's got a bit too much contrast in the texture. The flat side is not very good, and it doesn't turn into planks. So we're gonna not use jungle, we're not gonna use deadwood, so we're left with 4 main kinds of wood and cobblestone. So not a lot of blocks to work with, but it is enough for an old school style, village style starter house with cobblestone logs and planks, a couple of glass windows. Now that said, we do have a little bit more at our disposal than this village does. And that's because, let me see if I can find it here. I swear we got it. Is it over here? It's a knife. Ah, here it is, the chisel. So for those of you who don't know, the chisel is this magical tool that you can throw blocks into, and it lets you get different variants. So we can take our boring vanilla cobblestone and we can turn it into cobblestone bricks, or small cobblestone bricks, or damaged cobblestone tiles, or so on. Some of these have connected textures, others don't. But needless to say, it expands our options considerably. No, we cannot put logs in there. Can we put planks? Yeah, so we got a variety of oak planks. Let me see if there's stuff that we can do with this. No. So this is just going to be plain if we use it as planks. Which, by the way, these are not terrible. They're a little bit... what to say? They're a little bit strange. Like the pink peach tinge is a little bit strange, but I think it's nice enough that we'll try using it. Now, in terms of actually building the house, we have some terrain to work with. There's low ground here and high ground here, and we gotta try to make sure that our house tries to accommodate that at least a little bit. So the first thing is we're gonna, I believe, use some spruce, and we're gonna turn this into planks, which, let's see how we use the saw. Sorry, I meant slabs. Okay, just simply like this. And we're gonna make a bit of a veranda, something like, we now have a little bit of an entry. We can maybe throw down some fences here, toss a little roof over there, and it raises us up off of the ground level in a nice way. It's a little bit better. So we'll throw down a double door here, and we'll try switching over to the jacaranda stuff. Like this. So now we have an entrance here. We'll want this to be a 2-story house, I think. But before that, we still have some terrain to go up. So we'll maybe try something like the Japanese style, where let's just craft some more planks. A slab, sorry. So in Japanese style, you have a little bit of an entryway, which is lower down in elevation. Yeah, so this is a little pink. We might change it out later for something like oak or maybe birch if we get a hold of birch later. But we'll try sticking with it for now. So we have this. Now we're gonna have the next elevation up is over here. This feels a little steeper than the typical Japanese, like little entryway where you take off your shoes. Just a half slab would have been enough for that. I don't think we want to build on half slabs though, because of furniture. Things like stairs, doors, etc. won't work nicely. So we're going to try to work with this here. Okay, so we're gonna have a staircase going up here. And now this way, we're going to open up, I think, let's toss down an entry here. Now this is a big space already. So we need to maybe compartmentalize a little bit. I think we might need to shift everything over in this direction also. Alright, so we gathered a little bit more of this wood, and I also found out that we can use our saw on it to get 4 planks instead. So that's another way that we can increase the amount of wood that we have. Now that said, we should figure out how we're going to use this space. So if we try 0 blocks, it's going to look a little tight at first, but really that's just because we're opening up into the corner of the room. So as we continue along, we're not going to want to go past here, I don't think. So let's count out how many blocks this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's a good amount, I think. 7, and how much is it this way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7 by 11. It's a nice space, but we're going to want to subdivide it. It is a little large. Let's bring this out. So if we just close this off into a rectangle, we're seeing that it's a little, apart from the elevation being kind of steep in this section, it's a little long, so we're going to subdivide it. And I think the best way to subdivide it is going to be to add a kitchen, or like a separate room that we'll call a kitchen. So it's not going to be divided in the sense that we're going to put like a wall or anything, but we'll demarcate a section of the floor. So if this is 11, if we do 4, that leaves us a little bit of a small kitchen, but we can work with that. 4 or 5. 2, 3, 4. So we bring the planks out to here, and then we leave this section for kitchen. Okay, after putting in the floor, actually, I think what we need to do is we need to extend this section only. So instead of the entire kitchen, what we can do is we can have another elevated section. So that will help us play with the terrain a little bit better. I'm not the biggest fan of elevating this and extending it, but we do need a little something. We can't put an elevation break in the middle. That'd be far too much. We can't put it here because of the entrance being over here. Well, what if... Hear me out. What if we threw down an entrance over on this side? Alright, so we have shaved down this room a little bit. So let's see how it looks coming in. So we're walking up, we come in the door, we open here, we come into this room like this. Is this better? I think I liked it better before where this side was kitchen. And we can still leave the entrance here. But the kitchen, okay, let's think about the kitchen a little bit. In terms of kitchen and furnishing, normally the way to do it is you have counters and cabinets all the way around. I should flip this. So something a little like this, with an island in the middle. Maybe a 3-block island. 1, 2, 3. That fits pretty nicely here, actually. We would need one more counter. So I think this size for a kitchen is really good. We'll maybe like throw down a fireplace here, so that can add a little bit of depth. If we come in here, that gives us 3 blocks on this side, 2 blocks on this side. We do want the fireplace to be centered. So maybe what we do is... Oh, sorry, no, that would be 2 blocks on each side because this comes out to here. A 3-block fireplace gives us good amount to work with. So I'm liking this. Now the question is, do we shove it back one more block? One of the advantages of shoving it back, say 1 or 2 blocks, is that we could get a side door here, which is kind of neat, and I think we should try for it. Okay, on this side, if we choose to just do a very sneaky little door like that, this is what we're working with. I think this is fine, actually. I think this is quite good. Yeah, so we're looking at this, and we would have a different flooring in here. Something a little bit more reminiscent of tile or stone or something along those lines. We don't want to continue the same wood flooring. And the reason for that is it helps not just like the furnishing, and so we're separating the space into 2 sections. One is this kitchen section on the right, and one is this section here. Part of that is done by the fact that this line extends further past the kitchen. It kind of works out as an indent. Another thing is going to be the furnishing, so specifically like the cabinetry and the countertops that we're going to be putting in. But thirdly is the fact that we're going to have a different flooring is also going to help separate the space into 2 distinct regions, which just helps break it up. It helps give your eyes some variety to look at. Now, in terms of the fireplace, we said it's going to be in the middle. It's going to be 3, 2, 3, something like this. And then the rest can be planks, I believe. We might try to put an actual fire in there with netherrack, since one of our goals is nether access shortly. But I'll need to look at like fire spreading to make sure that it doesn't burn our hard-earned floor. That looks like a reasonable fireplace, if you ask me. And there will be a backing to this as well. And that will give us some much needed depth on the exterior. Let's bring it up one more. So it'll be like this. Give us some depth on the exterior. We have a lot of straight lines on the exterior. And there are ways to break that up. So this side I think is fine. We're going to have something over here perhaps. We got this to break this up. This side though is extremely long from this entrance over here. So we're going to need to do something. We're probably going to maybe throw down a 3rd entrance. And we're going to maybe... we'll try to think of something to break it up over on this side. But unfortunately this side is straight up entrance into staircase, which makes things a little bit harder to work with from the interior. Okay. So before we start really knocking this out, the last main thing that we need to think about is this room here. And we're going to want to access to it from both sides, I believe. Okay, so now we have to decide, do we want this entrance perhaps centered on the island, or do we want it centered on the room? Now, a little bit of asymmetry is okay, but the question is, does this kind of asymmetry look like it's intentional? Or does it look like it's just being kind of a little bit forgetful or a little bit negligent? One thing that, so this is a deliberate choice that we're looking into, but one thing that this does for us is that this helps mark that this entire section is one room because it is in the center of this wall. If we move it over, it starts to make this little section with the side entrance and the fireplace look like partially a separate section because then it's centered on this, which makes this line kind of a dividing line. I wonder if that made sense. I think we do want this to feel nice and cozy up to here, so we'll try like this. In order to avoid lines, actually, that's a good point. Since we're trying to avoid lines, we don't want to put a wall here. We don't want to put a wall here. So, in terms of practical purposes, what are we thinking here? So, this section is largely decorative. We're not going to put much functional stuff in here. But since we are not going to be living in this house forever, we are needing some amount of functional space. The primary functions are going to be our tinker setup and our storage. In terms of that, having 2 blocks is great for both. So we can do storage on one side, tinkers on the other. So how far out does this extend? We're probably going to want the entrance right where the staircase down goes, which means in order to fully determine that, we're going to need to determine how tall this staircase needs to be, which means we need to determine how tall the floor is. So if we stick with the planks, I think a top slab is good. This feels a little short. Bumping your head never feels good. So I think we try something like this height. So if we have the next floor at this height, we don't bump our head, but it's not super big. I do like that. And honestly, I am growing on this jacaranda wood. Maybe you guys will say that it looks horrible and that pink is ugly, but I am kind of a fan actually. So let's finish filling out this floor plan, and then we'll maybe raise up the walls, maybe we'll change out the cobblestone, and we will come back to see what it looks like when that's all done. Alright, so we've we've done a little bit work. I think the block palette is a classic, something that I really enjoy. We got the dark oak, spruce, cobblestone palette with a little bit of light flooring in the interior. Now, as far as walking around on the first floor goes, I think we're pretty good. I like how this feels. In terms of the exterior, we're looking pretty good on this side. It comes up with the terrain, it's fine, it's good. We still have to sort out exactly how much cobblestone, how much wood. Little bit plain here, but this is something that's easily fixed and it's in the back anyways. Same thing with this side. This side is easily fixed. This side, however, is the longest side. It's got the most work that we need to do. And I'm not entirely sure what to do with this. The first thing is obviously that the height variation. Unlike in other places, we're going to have a noticeable height variation here. But secondly, I think what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to knock this down a little bit, at least like this. Alright, so adding that does add a bit of variation. However, we still have this huge plain chunk, and we can't do much in the center of it, given that we have this staircase. One solution would be an outcropping of some sort. We could do a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. Because, again, this staircase. And I think that's just poor design choices that we'll have to live with, and we'll try to spruce it up, pun intended, with something else in the future. Perhaps once we have a little bit more space, once some of these buildings are gone. Unfortunately, there is a pathway due to these gates, and we don't want to obstruct it too much. But we don't have that much space to shove it back because we're going to be a little narrow in this choke point. That said, we can start... I don't want the whole things be stone. So I think that's a good compromise. Something like this much will be stone. And we can swap it out, although our pickaxe is about to break and we don't have more pig iron. So we might put a hold on the house project for now. We'll pick it up next episode. But for now, we'll probably try to get some repairs on our pickaxe. We'll try to collect more things. Some more dark oak. More jacaranda. And we will try to think about some things. So another thing that we could try to do is add like a... So you know how some of the villager houses have stripes of wood like that? We could try adding, maybe not a stripe of wood, but we could try adding a little bit of an eave. So, I don't know, something like... we'll use a different block so it stands out more. Well, you could try doing something like that to break up the big wall. Yeah, we'll have to think on some ideas about what we can do here, but I don't want to just completely redesign the house, even though I think fundamentally this was a design flaw by putting the staircase in the middle of this wall and needing space on either side. So anyways, we will call the episode here. Next time we'll try to finish off this house. Maybe not like completely furnished and exterior completed, but we'll finish up the walls, we'll put a roof on it as best as we can, and we'll try to work on our tools a little bit more, our quests a little bit more. But that's all for this time. I'll see you guys on the next episode of GregTech New Horizons.